Okay, hey Algebra 1, I'm going to go over 9.2, solving quadratic equations by factoring. Okay, so remember, in the last one we did zero product property. We're going to use that same skill and factor. Okay, so it's like an extra step, but we're still going to use that zero product property idea. So let's zoom in on number 1. So number 1, we're going to solve this equation by factoring. So let's factor it first. Okay, so remember, if the first number is 1 in front of that x squared, all I have to do is use the x. And remember, the top number is the first number times the last, which is 1 times negative 40, which is just negative 40. And the number on the bottom is the middle number, 3. And then I have to think, okay, what two numbers multiply to negative 40 but add to 3? Well, let's think of all the numbers that multiply to 40. All right, 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 3 times, no, 3 doesn't work. 4 times 10, 5 times 8. Okay, let's go through this and see if one of these works. Can you plus or minus 40 and 1 to get 3? No. Can you plus and minus 2 and 20 to get 3? No, those are too far apart. How about 4 and 10? 10 minus 4, 4 plus 10. No, that doesn't work either. Okay, how about 8 plus 5 or 8 minus 5? Oh wait, 8 minus 5, I could do that. So 8 and 5. But then also, this first number on the top is negative, so that means one of these has to be negative. Okay, so let's see. If I make 8 negative, well, negative 8 plus 5, that's negative 3, not positive 3. So that means the 5 has to be negative. Another easy way to figure that out is to say, okay, well, the number here is positive, so that means our bigger number has to be positive, the 8, and which it is. Okay, so now, since this first number is 1, all I have to do is the x. And now I make my parentheses, and the first one will be our first number, x plus 8, and the second one will be our second number, x, oops, not 8, x minus 5. Okay, and now we do the same thing like we did yesterday, use the zero product property. X is a liar, so in order to make x plus 8 0, I'd have to plug in not positive 8, but negative 8. And here, I'd have to plug in not negative 5, but plus 5, or positive 5, because 5 minus 5 is 0. Because remember, you want this whole equation to equal 0 when you plug in these numbers, because 5 minus 5 is 0, and 0 times whatever this is 0, which is also equal to 0, which is true. Okay? Now let's move on over to number 3. Oops, let's move down here. Actually, let's take a look at number 2 here. Okay, number 2. Okay, well, the first number is 6, and that's bigger than 1. So that means not only will I need the x, but I also need the box. Okay, so let's make our x. And this, remember, it's the first number times the last number, which is 6 times 1, or negative 1, so negative 6. And then the middle number goes on the bottom. Well, there's no middle number here, so it has to be 1. Okay, so our numbers that multiply to 6 would be 1 times 6, then 2 times 3, and that's the only options we have. So let's see. Can I do 1 and 6 to make 1? 6 minus 1, 6 plus 1? No, that doesn't work. How about 2 times 3? 2 and 3, 3 minus 2, I could do that. Okay, so then 3 and 2. And remember, one of them has to be negative because they have to multiply to be negative. So which one is it? Well, if I make the first one negative, negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1, so that's not right. And also, remember, if this is positive, the bigger one has to be positive. So then this one is negative. Okay, but remember, we're not done. We still have to use the box because the 6, the first number, is bigger than 1. So make our box. And then we're going to put in the first term, 6a squared. The last term, negative 1. And then 3. Then the numbers we found go here, 3 and their variable is a, and then -2, and our variable is a. Then we have to say, okay, well, what numbers multiply to give us 6a squared? Okay, what times what? Well, I know that to get a squared, I have to do a times a. But what do I do to get 6? Or what do I multiply? Well, I could do 1 times 6, or I could do 2 times 3. And I'm just looking at the numbers here. I have a 2 and a 3 here, so I'll probably have to do the 2 and the 3. So where do they go? 2a and 3a. Alright, well, let's see. If I put the 3a here, is there a number I can multiply times 3a to get 3a? Yeah, I could do 1. And what if I put 2a here? Is there a number I can multiply times 2a to get -2a? Yeah, it'd be -1. So that works. Okay, so there's our factors. Let's write that out. So now 2a plus 1 and 3a minus 1 all equals 0, because originally it equaled 0. So now I need to figure out what's going to make this 0, what's going to make this 0. Well, I'd have to pull this off to the side, and 2a plus 1 equals 0, and 3a, and this one off to the side, 3a minus 1 equals 0. Now let's figure out what those are equal to, and that'll give us our answer. Okay, so now subtract 1 here, 2a equals -1. Divide both sides by 2, and I get a equals -1/2. And then here, I'd have to add 1, because that's a negative, and then that's 3a equals 1. Divide by 3, and then a equals 1/3. So our answers are -1/2, comma 1/3. Now if you'll notice, I didn't point out in yesterday's lesson that this number, the 1 comes from this 1. The 2 comes from this 2. And it's, if the answer, remember x is a liar, so if this is positive, then our answer is negative. So a quick way to figure this out without doing these steps is to say, okay, well this number is 1, so the number on the top is 1. And if this number is 2, the first number, then this number is 2. Okay? So first number goes on the bottom, second number goes on the top. If this is plus, then this is minus, because x is a liar. Okay, so let's go on to number 3. Okay, so what I remember from the last unit is that if I have two numbers, x squared, and a minus in the middle, then I can do the quick way. Square root both of them, and then I have x here, square root of the first goes there, x, and then square root of the second goes as the second number, 4. And then if there are two numbers with a minus in the middle, then I'll have plus and minus. And now here's our zero product property, and these ones are obvious because I don't have a number here. So then this one will be, this one's positive 4, then this is negative 4, and this one's negative 4, then this one is positive 4. Okay. Okay, now number 7. Okay, number 7 looks a little different. Now remember, all these problems have a number, a times x squared, plus a number, we'll call it b, times x, plus another number, c, equals 0. So that has three numbers. It has 1, 2, and 3. But if you notice here on this one, we have 1 and 2. And the last one we did, it also only had 2. But what number is missing? Well, in this one, we're missing the number that has no x. So the last term. On the one that we just did, we're missing the number that has just x, the middle term. So we could rewrite this as x squared minus 5x minus or plus 0. That's the missing number. Do our x. First number times the last, 0. Number on the bottom, negative 5. And I know I'm going to have to multiply 0 to get 0, so that's one of the numbers. And then 0 plus what equals negative 5? Negative 5. And the first number is 1, so I can go straight to my parentheses. X plus 0 and x minus 5. Well, I know here I'd have to plug in 0. And actually, let's rewrite this because I don't need 0, right? So let's rewrite this as x times x minus 5. And now this is to plug in, I would have to plug in 0 here, so x equals 0. And here, I'd have to plug in 5. Because x is a liar, and this is negative, this is positive. And you could also do GCF. These both have x. I can take x out. X times x is x squared minus x times 5 times what equals 5x? 5. And then I get the same answers. Okay? Okay, now this, if you notice on all the other problems, we had all these equals 0. So the first one equals 0. This one equals 0. This one equals 0. This one equals 0. They're all equal to 0. But this one is not. In order to solve this, I have to have it equal to 0. So what I need to do is remove this 20 from this side by subtracting it. It's positive, so I subtract. I'll subtract it from this side. And remember, this is x squared and this is x, so I cannot combine them. So now I just have 4x squared minus 20x, and then I can factor it. And here I have the two terms and they both have x, so let's do a GCF. So 4 and 20, the biggest number I can divide is 4, or take the greatest common factor is 4. And then how many x's are the same? 1x. And then 4x times x equals 4x squared minus 4x times, and then 4 times what equals 20? 5. X times what equals x? Well, it's 1, so we don't need to write 1. And again, the number I would plug in here to make it 0 is 0. And then I would plug in here, x is a liar, so this negative 5 would be positive 5. Okay, let's look at a couple more. Okay, the one right below it, again, we need this to have all the terms on the left and 0 on the right. So this subtracts 6 and 5, but we have to do it on the left side as well. These cancel out and make 0. And now we have x squared, and let's write in standard form, minus 5x minus 6 equals 0. Go ahead and factor that. 6 here, negative 5 here. Numbers are going to be 3 and 2. They both have a to be negative. X minus 2, x minus 3. And then x is a liar, so our answer will be positive 2 and 3. Positive 3. Okay, last one we're going to look at is number 14. Okay, again, we want all the numbers on the left. So here it's negative 24, so let's add 24. And now we have, and we're going to add 24 to this side too. And now 3p squared minus 27p plus 24 equals 0. But if you notice, when I do my x here, I'm going to have 24 times 3. That's going to be, what, 72? And then the next number will be negative 27. Those numbers are pretty big. So let's see if we can make this a little easier. If we have big numbers, well, can I take the square root of the first and the last? No, I can't do that either. But how about a GCF? How about 3, 27, and 24? Can I take a GCF? Yeah. And the GCF is 3 for the numbers. Can I take out a p? No, because the 24 doesn't have a p, so just 3. So now 3 times p squared minus 3 times what equals 27? 9. And then p. 3 times what equals 24? 8. Now I can just factor this part. So now let's do an x with that. So now I have 8 on the top, negative 9 on the bottom. And now let's see. Let's see, 8 and 1. And they'll both have to be negative, because this is negative. Okay, so now 3, and I can go straight to my parentheses now, because that first number is 1. 8 minus 8, and 8 minus 1. And now my answers will be x is a liar, so if it's negative 8, it's positive 8, and if it's negative 1, it's positive 1.